San Francisco 49ers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. 49ers coming off of a massive beatdown of the Rams. That finds them as 6.5-point road favorites over the Jags. 45.5 your total here. Brad, there has been the narrative already. People talking about San Francisco having to fly across the country on a minimally short week, with having the emotions of having won that game the way that they did against the Rams, put themselves back in the playoff hunt, all these different things, all these different narratives as to why maybe you should be backing the Jaguars in this game. Full disclosure for me on this thing, I can't get heads or tails of how I would go about this thing. It'll be a sit back and watch for me. But do you think that the 6.5 is appropriate? Do you think it's too much? Is there anything that you've seen from the Jaguars in this entire season that would make you want to back them?
The defense is interesting. The Jacksonville defense, the last 3 games, they've been interesting. They're 11th in success rate and 11th in EPA allowed. And that's against the Bills, sort of decent offense, against the Colts last week, another decent offense, top half. And then before that against the Seahawks and Geno. And obviously they had the bye before that. So maybe they did move some things around. So I could potentially be swayed to look at the under because Trevor Lawrence has continued to be awful. And during that same time period I was talking about, the Niners are 7th in success rate allowed on defense. So we've got a couple of defenses playing well, playing fast, teams that want to run the ball as well. So I could be swayed by an under 46.5 on the side. Like I don't want to back San Francisco in that spot because we've seen they can just drop stinkers this season. Getting demolished at home to the Cardinals with a backup quarterback. So you wouldn't be surprised to see him put out another stinker. Maybe the under.
Stephen, what everybody knows, you're a 49ers fan here. They run the ball 44 times this past week and to a ton of success and against a defense that supposed to be still supposed to be a good run defense, not like one of the elite in the league or anything like that, but it's one that was still supposed to be good. So they didn't, metrics be damned. They just ran the ball and they ran the ball effectively and they ran the ball 44 times. And that, do you expect more of the same this week from them? Or do you think that this is a spot where they get back to running a more balanced offense and maybe then we see some of that clunkiness that we saw from them, throughout the course of the season?
I think with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, this is exactly how Kyle Shanahan wants to run the offense. I mean, we've seen this not just this year, but in years past when they were one of the finalists in the Super Bowl. They won a playoff game against Minnesota with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing like less than 15 passes in that game. A playoff game, they did that. So that is how they want to operate if they are able to. But to further Brad's point, I'm not sure the Jags are a good matchup for that. They have the number 7 rush D DVOA this season, and they're 2nd in explosive run plays allowed. So they might take that away from San Francisco in this game. And then who knows, because the Jags are playing tougher. They've covered 3 of the past 4. And with how inconsistent the 49ers have been, Brad, you talked last week about the ebbs and flows of the season and teams like the Niners getting up for a primetime game against a rival at home, and now they have to go across the country for an early game against Jacksonville. We've already seen them let down. They got crushed by the Colts this season, albeit in the rain. They got crushed by Arizona without Kyler Murray. So they have not really put together solid back-to-back weeks. Even if you count the back-to-back wins from week 1 and week 2, they didn't play well against the Eagles to get that win in week 2 offensively. So I haven't seen it in back-to-back weeks from the Niners this year. So I really don't want to lay 6.5 on them on the road in this one. So the only thing I would be tempted by here is if this got up to 7.5, and I might come back on the other side with Jacksonville.
It's crazy for me to say that because the offense has been so putrid. And they are not doing Trevor Lawrence any favors with what they're trying to do with him and the scheme and all the stuff like that. And I understand DJ Chark went down early, so you lose your number 1 receiver very early on in the season, and that doesn't help out and all of the different things. But they've been so poor on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, it's been hard to watch more times than not. That
Matt, the other big thing too, Deebo Samuel's dealing with a shin injury now for the Niners. Eli Mitchell had a procedure on his finger. He's supposed to still play, but we'll see if he gets a full workload. So those are their two biggest weapons in the run and the pass game that are not 100%.
Yeah, that's a finger got put in Mitchell's. A pin got put in his finger. So I guess like it's a pain tolerance thing as far as he goes. And but the bruised shin thing from Deebo is certainly something that we'll pay attention to as the week progresses. It's a Jacksonville or pass for me side here. And I'm like you, Steven. I think if a full touchdown popped, it might be a small bet on Jacksonville for me. Not that I would want to do it, but God. I mean, it's like, I think it's just one of those deals where I'd have to come in and play it on principle. So we shall see if the line, if there's
stinky ass Jacksonville bet.
But if it gets there, and look, it's line, it's been on the move. It's gone from 6 to 6.5 already. Maybe there will be more 49er support come in, and you'll find me on Jacksonville this week. I can't believe I'm even saying that.